Of all the classes, Summoner has the fewest options, so you would assume that every Summoner weapon gets roughly the same amount of usage. Well, you'd be wrong, of course, as there are some summon weapons that, for one reason or another, are not often used by the community. So today, we're going off the beaten trail to see the potential of the Summoner weapons that many people often don't use. Right off the bat, we are in a weird spot where Summoner only has one very easy to obtain weapon, the Cobwhip, added in 1 for 5, and because it's the only weapon available at this point, it's likely what most Summoner mains will go for if they're trying to have a more purist run. So if we're not allowed to use the Cobwhip and want to play a more purist run, what are we going to do? Well, one idea would be to make a bunch of houses until the zoologist appears to purchase the leather whip. Only issue is that it requires 10% of the bestiary to be filled. We could go around killing miscellaneous enemies and critters until we reach that milestone, but there is a better option, the Soul Scourge. That said, we haven't had any luck finding Demonite underground, so perhaps it'd be best to turn our focus to the first minion we can get. Pre-boss, you can obtain the Slime Staff, Finch Staff, Abigail's Flower, Cativa, Fox Sparks, Flink Staff, or Vampire Frog Staff. That's a lot of weapons. The Finch Staff, I would say, is commonly used, but I feel like I haven't seen one in the past 10 or so worlds I've played on. Abigail's Flower and the Flink Staff are definitely the most commonly used and easily obtained, and the Vampire Frog Staff, although maybe not the most used weapon, is pretty often used and would require we wait for a Blood Moon and defeat one of the Blood Moon enemies. And without any weapons right now, that's not going to go very well. So that leaves the Slime Staff, Cativa, and Fox Sparks. And as much as I love the 1 in 10,000 drop chance from a slime or slimed zombie to get the Slime Staff, I've decided to instead build a house on the outer edges of the world to find a Cativa or Fox Sparks, who can also be notoriously rare, but I'm sure they'll be less elusive than a Slime Staff. Luckily for us, there are 2 water candles within reach inside the dungeon to aid in our farming endeavors. To make a better farm for them, I head to the tundra and figure I'll see about finding flurry boots or a blizzard in a bottle, and if we run into some flinkses, we can start working our way to a flink's fur coat. See, Cativa and Fox Sparks can spawn on dirt, stone, or snow. See the penguin appearing on screen? By building the snow platform at the ocean and going to the very far edge, we should be able to see Fox Sparks or Cativa spawn rather than guessing or relying on a lifeform analyzer. They can only spawn during the day though, so in the meantime, we search for treasure in the tundra some more when something strange happens. A snowball launcher drops. Unironically, the snowball launcher is now like one of my best weapons. Get him! Oh dude, that's actually good damage. Hold up. I might be doing summons, but I'm using a weapon nobody has ever used in their Terraria career ever. You can give me all the grief you want because technically this isn't a summon weapon, but the way I see it, it's basically a sentry with extra steps. It's a lot of fun and nobody has ever used it as their primary weapon. Plus, I just need a win. I've been on this world for an hour, have found 0 treasure chests and only 2 life crystals. This also gives me a way to actually defeat the goblins should they spawn. And lucky me, it literally only took 1 minute of standing here for Cativa to appear. Let's go already, dude. No. Stay away from Cativa. Stay away. No shot. We got it that fast. Why are you not freed? Huh? There we go. Oh my goodness, I was really concerned for a second there. I tried farming for Fox Sparks as well, but another Cativa showed up instead. And as much as I love the Firefox, it is a good enough summon that I can see a lot of people farming for it. So we'll just skip past my favorite summon weapon in the game. I'm fine. But before we continue, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that big juicy red subscribe button down below. I did return to the tundra with a Spelunker potion in hopes of getting some starting loots at long last, but I got an Extractinator and then some ice skates and an ice boomerang. I got a flamethrower coat at the very least, and a grab potion got me a shiny red balloon, and here I thought a Star Fury would help me find treasure. But no, there's simply nothing out here. There is no treasure on this world. 2 hours. No Hermes boots, no cloud in a bottle, nothing. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to use bombs to mine whatever demonite we find until we can make the Soul Scourge, which is more than enough to fight King Slime. And, oh no, don't throw it at the end. There we go. Now, it took about this long to get the Zoologist, and beating King Slime means we can get the Slime Whip, which, apart from Skyblock, is rarely used, and for one simple reason. I still believe the Soul Scourge should be a post-Evil Boss weapon, because the Cobwhip, the Slime Whip, the Leather Whip, all of those now get completely ignored because of the existence of the Soul Scourge. The Soul Scourge is in every way better than the Leather Whip and Slime Whip, and it's pretty simple to get pre-boss. The Cob Whip is at least pretty strong and is easier to get, but the Leather and Slime Whips I think need a little more attention to make sense as early game whips. What makes it even worse is that the Snapthorn exists and renders all three of these irrelevant for those who are brave and good enough to go to the jungle this early. But because of that, everybody uses the Snapthorn, and so it's off limits for this run. The only reason I am down here then is because the jungle actually has treasure and life crystals. Even so, it took absolutely forever to find the gear we need to actually get this run going. Hermes boots! Oh, finally we got something! There's just room in here. Come on, cloud in a bottle. Be right next to the Hermes boots. Yes! Oh, thank you! Now we can finally move on to the other bosses, such as the Eye of Cthulhu, who's killed more by lightning than my summon weapons, and as I was casually making my way across the world, I didn't realize there was a blizzard, and it was midnight. Oh, well, we got a natural Jerklops spawn, so I guess we're fighting Jerklops now. Can I use the Houndioshudius? I have no idea if it'd be considered an unused weapon, so I'm going to rule it out and wait until I can get one of the unused Tavern Keep sentries. The goblins came while fighting Deerclops, and with a snowball launcher watching my back, they were an easy fight. The Tinkerer was extra cooperative, and we take down the Eater of Worlds, opening the door for the next summon weapon, the Mushroom Staff. But I need more than Shadow Scales for that weapon. I totally forgot about that. Mushroom Seeds is one of those things that are a lot harder to find than you realize until you have to actually farm for them. As for the weapon itself, I think it's generally unused because it's new, and so most people stick with the old reliable Flinks and Vampire Frog Staffs. That and the fact that it was kinda bad when 145 first came out, only to get a buff about a week afterwards. So how are we going to get the seeds we need? Well, to make it easier, I'm hunting for the Shimmer because you can shimmer jungle grass seeds into mushroom grass seeds. What am I doing? I'm on the dungeon side of the... Shimmer isn't over there. On the way over, however, we find a meteor, which gives us access to the next unused summon weapon, the Star Crash. This whip might get a decent amount of use, but most people I hear talking about summoners say they still primarily stick with the Snapthorn and the eventual Spinal Tap. As for our farming, it took about an hour to get 5 seeds, but hey, we got it. Oh my goodness. At long last, the Mushroom Staff. With those guys on hand, we'll take down Queen Bee, but not for the Hornet Staff. I'd probably be safe betting a lot of people don't use that weapon, but I think it's still used enough to disqualify it from this run. Even so, we can still benefit from bee armor. Now, here's a trick for all you lovely Terrarians at home. If you shimmer the bee nades, you will receive more bee wax. That bee wax we can now make full bee armor without having to fight her twice. I wasn't sure this would go super well, and I was actually surprised by their performance, but we took down Skeletron without too much struggle. There's definitely ways we can better optimize our build, but this is quite a comfortable build to take down Expert Mode Skeletron. It's also where I learned that running in straight lines allows the Shroom Boys to deal greater damage, as it makes it easier for them to target the enemy. With a Spinal Tap disallowed for this run, the only thing we need down here is the Bewitching Table, but that doesn't finish everything that we need to get before the Wall of Fresh. See, we still need a sentry, and with the Houndioshudius not available, after I found the Tavern Keep, I ran a poll to see what of his sentries people generally use. Look at that. That is cool. Okay, I didn't expect Landmine to be like that far behind all the others. It would seem that the Explosive Staff is the least used of all of the Tavern Keep sentries, at least by the people who are watching the live stream. And so for the rest of the run, I will be locked into the Explosive Staff sentries. But of course, that staff will be completely useless to us if we don't first beat the Old One's army, and because we want to make sure we can get the upgrade the moment we defeat one mech, we'll have to defeat the army twice for sufficient defender medals. Now let's do some prep before fighting the wall by creating a garden, fish for variegated lardfish to craft summon potions, and cave fish for endurance potions. Only then realizing there's a rather important potion crafting station I forgot in the dungeon, and now we can head to the underworld. Mushroom Boys in the dark are terrifying. I've grown quite accustomed to using water walking and featherfall potions for the wall, but that combo will not work when the Mushroom Boys are my summons. So we're going to be making a Hell Bridge, and even though imps are banned for being a commonly used summon, we still need Hellstone for a Molten Pickaxe, now that 145 made it so Spider Armor requires a Mithril Anvil to craft, which is as good a time as any to mention how Cativa, ever eager to help, will mine whatever blocks I am mining, and even some of the surrounding ones, which is not as helpful when you're delicately attempting to procure some Hellstone safely. Cativa, no. But we raided the underworld for all it was worth and got to work on that Hell Bridge. There's only one issue. I also I'm just not very good against the wall as a summoner. I also haven't found a chillet egg. That would be a huge help against the wall, but yeah, no such luck. I have no idea how this loadout is going to perform here, so let's give it a try and see where we stand. Hello, fresh wall. I don't think my damage is going to be very good against this thing, so I gotta be ready to play this real conservatively. Finally got rid of the hungry though, so now we can maybe do some real damage here. What do you do? Summoner's too weak. Dude, it just never stops summoning the hungries. I can't get close enough. I might need a longer bridge. Oh, I'm already out of bridge? Oh, nuggets. Here I thought I still had a ways to go. Okay. Dang. Before we continue, this video is sponsored by Highstar, who is creating these amazing Terraria mats. They sent me a few that I can showcase for you. They all look absolutely astonishing. The one that I use all the time for my setup is this really cool one with a wyvern. Is my favorite one. I would highly recommend it, but these other ones are also fantastic. It's just my desk is a little cluttered, so I don't swap them out. But if you would like one of these awesome, high-quality desk mats for yourself, use my link in the description below. It really helps out the channel a lot, and thanks Highstar for sponsoring this video. Barely brought the wall to half health and struggled the whole way. My damage simply was not high enough to keep the hungry under control, which prevented me from staying close enough to the wall to deal any substantial amount of damage. So we're going to grab a bunch of potions. The issue is that most of these are for survivability. My accessories definitely could use some reforging, but I don't have a lot of money and ended up with warding on most of them. I'll extend the bridge because that was obviously a problem, but what will really allow me to dish out more damage is finding the golfer. Let me explain. By simply whacking a golf ball down the elevator for like 5 minutes, which is usually pretty easy. Okay, King Slime has spawned. I am dying. I don't want to get out of this because I don't know if it'll still count. There we go. What do you do if you're mid-golf ball whack when the boss spawns on your face? Slime snap. I got lucky with the slime. Okay. But anyways, with those 5 minutes of golfing, we can eventually purchase the absurdly overpowered golf cart. With it equipped, I can remove all of my mobility accessories and replace them with offensive ones. This should have worked like a charm, but then this totally bogus thing happened where I assumed the wall hit me and knocked me back through these platform stairs rather than onto them like it should have, causing me to fall and die. So I guess maybe we should equip at least one mobility accessory because I don't want that to happen again. With one more attempt against the wall then, we were able to handle it much better and played it extra safe by placing landmines behind me as I ran away to deal with the last bits of its health. Did it! Let's go! Only used all the potions. This brings us to hard mode where we encounter something weird. Summoner's whip options are extraordinarily limited in hard mode. There's literally only 2 you can get pre-mechs in the Firecracker or Cool Whip. After defeating a mech, you can get the Durandal, and then after Plantera, you actually have some more options. And yes, you could technically get the Electric Eel pre-mechs, you filthy pre-mech dukers out there, but not all of us are as good as you. Anyways, where does this leave us? I'm not nearly masochistic enough to stick with the Star Crash until post-Plantera. So what I did was run a poll to see if most people use the Firecracker or Cool Whip. Whichever one is less used, I'll be stuck with until Plantera, meaning yes, the Durandal is off limits. What was truly fascinating though was that the poll was left up for like an hour during the stream and was constantly stuck around a perfect 50-50 split. So by the looks of it, there is no clear winner between these 2 whips. They're actually balanced so well that they've achieved a perfect equilibrium, and I love it. That's also why I'm fighting the wall, because for a while the Cool Whip was the most used whip, only for the Firecracker to overtake it later on. And even though these 2 whips are perfectly balanced, the fact that there's only 2 does make me a little sad. Part of me wishes that there was at least one more whip either after one mech or before them. Maybe having a Shadow Flame whip from the hard mode Goblin army. But it's also nice that they're so nicely balanced. Now we'll get the Cool Whip later. For now, let's gather what other things I can use, such as spider armor. That does not bode well for me. Now, obviously, I cannot use the Spider Staff or Queen Spider Staff. Everybody and their grandma uses those. So what summon can I use? At this phase, there's the Spider Staff, Sanguine Staff, Pirate Staff, and Blade Staff, a whole lot of staffs. The Blade Staff is quite commonly used, and the Sanguine is often paired with the Firecracker. It might be a little bit less used because it can be annoying to farm for, but is still probably pretty commonly used by people. There is one other summon though that I didn't mention, the Abigail's Flower. Paired with the Firecracker, this summon is actually pretty good early hard mode, although she primarily excels at taking down Queen Slime. I ruled her out earlier, but could maybe justify using her now, but just to play it safe, we're going to stick with the only other summon that hasn't been ruled out, the Pirate Staff. Without a hard mode whip or summon, you can imagine that this event was not the easiest to handle. Oh, pirate map already. Awesome, okay. And here's what you should know about the Pirate Staff. It has a 1 in 1,000 chance of being dropped by any random pirates, a 1 in 250 chance of dropping from a pirate captain, and a 1 in 15 chance of being dropped by a Flying Dutchman. Its rarity greatly contributing to people usually ignoring this weapon. And I, with my pitiful little baby summon weapons, am forced to resort to cheesing methods against this invasion, but on the bright side, streamer luck can in fact be real. There we go. Pirate Staff, we actually got it! Let's go! Oh, dude, I'm so happy. We won't need to farm that again. Having this thing, we'll soon learn the other reason people often ignore this weapon. And put simply, it's because these little dudes with their stubby little feet are stuck on the ground. They simply won't be enough. So we're going to turn to the sentry people will often ignore because the Queen Spider Staff's existence, the Barnacle Staff. Keppels has a great video comparing these two sentries where he finds that generally the Queen Spider Staff is slightly better but requires a little more arena awareness. They're basically the same tier, but the Barnacle Staff tends to work better against flying enemies. Yes, got it. Okay, now we just need to collect the ice core for our Cool Whip, and we've been waiting for this blizzard the entire time we farm for those other weapons, and we'll take an ice feather while we're at it. The Cool Whip does require 8 souls of light and night, and a few wyverns is all we need to craft wings from that frozen feather. With an extended arena, we are ready to make an attempt at the mechs. Of course, our first blood moon occurs the moment we summon Destroyer, and unfortunately, our build is not very good at shredding the worm's mechanical coil. The battle then took quite a long time, but the Cool Whip and pirates are decently suited for taking down this boss. That said, it's far from a guarantee, as my farming attempt against the worm did not work out. While waiting for the next night, we'll farm the second tier Old One's army, which is easy enough for a summoner to handle at this phase, and collect the medals needed for the third tier post-Planetara staff. The flying mechanical bosses are what I imagine most people would point to as the reason they avoid the pirate staff. After all, even underground, airbound enemies were often an issue for the pirates. But by simply sticking close to my arena where platforms abound, the pirates are able to hit their targets quite often, proving that their little kneeless nubbins of legs could still jump better than NBA All-Stars, and just like the Mushroom Boy, going in a straight line makes the most use of them. There we go. That's how the pirates do good damage. The twins, meanwhile, only became an issue when Spaz was in second phase. Needing to run far away and make quick vertical or horizontal movements often resulted in the pirates losing their targets or being out of range. Come on, pirates, I need you to do more for me. It definitely required a bit more effort, and maybe the Firecracker would pair better with the pirates, but it was still good enough to clear the twins' first try. Now the door is starting to open to more minions and whips, and I think the Tempest Staff is usually ignored. I thought maybe I could handle Duke with hollowed armor, but didn't make it too far with the pirates struggling to keep up. The Electric Eel may be a lesser used weapon, but I can't say that with confidence, as it is a very good whip that people very quickly started using after the update. No! Well, it was a bit of a stretch anyways. I think we're just going to go to Plantera. If nothing else, that gives some time for life fruit and stuff to grow. To the jungle we go, mining chlorophyte, collecting life fruits, and searching for a Plantera bulb. We potentially have some serious Plantera farming ahead of us because the vulgar display of flowers is the next whip I have my eyes set on. This whip is not bad, but with a 12.5% drop chance from one of the most annoying bosses to farm, I don't know anybody who goes out of the way for this thing. At best, it gets used if it just so happens to be the first drop, but otherwise, most people simply grab the Morning Star from the hard mode dungeon, which is not only much easier to farm for, but is also just as good, while allowing you to farm for ectoplasm in the meantime. After the usual tediously long search for the Plantera bulb, we come across one and use power bombs to create an arena. And so we'll start the farming session for the vulgar display of flowers, where I found myself quite shocked by how well the Cool Whip and pirates handled themselves against this boss. That said, the golf cart might actually be carrying this run. Oh, golf cart for the win! Oh, dude, it makes it so easy. Golf cart makes Plantera a joke. Oh my goodness, dude. What we're learning from this is not how good unused summon weapons is, but how underrated the golf cart is. And I didn't get the whip, but I did get the pygmy staff. And apparently, people don't use the pygmy staff. I still don't get it. That's right. No matter how much I personally insisted that most people use the pygmy staff, people overwhelmingly informed me that they ignore the pygmy staff entirely, purely because it's a land-bound summon, many of them saying that they'll stick with the Optic or Sanguine Staff. That makes some sense to me, since all bosses at this phase, aside from Golem, fly. But also, they throw their little stick things and inflict venom. I always thought they were quite good, or at least good enough, but apparently I was wrong. This second Plantera also didn't drop the whip. Guess now we gotta find more Plantera bulbs. Yippity skippity. All right, guys, time to put in your bets. How long is it going to take? How many Planteras until we get the vulgar display of flowers? I actually decided to really quickly see if this build could take on Golem, but it really struggled. Thing is, it did draw my attention to the fact that the pirates and pygmies had the same base damage, but the pirates can hit their target up to 3.33 times per second, while the pygmies fire their spears 2 times per second. This means the pirates have a higher damage potential, while the pygmies are more capable of attacking flying targets. I'll skip past the next 20 minutes because it actually only took that long to find another Plantera bulb that spawned a very cooperative sentient cabbage. Yes, so we actually got it. Woohoo! This will do a lot better against Golem. Okay, I suck against Golem. I confess. This is my Terraria confession, but also it's a bad arena, all right? No more joking around. We're slaying Golem and moving on to the next unused summon weapon on our list. That weapon would be the Raven Staff, which is a strange weapon because I am 100% certain almost nobody uses this weapon. And yet I always seem to encounter a random person all around the place who swears by this thing. Regardless, to get it, we need to plant a bunch of pumpkins and head to the dungeon to farm for ectoplasm. And just to reiterate, no, I am not allowed to use the Morning Star. We'll quickly purchase the upgraded Sentry and then get to work on the Pumpkin Moon, which really is a summoner's paradise of an event. And the vulgar display of flowers is actually a more crowd control focused whip. The little petals that explode whenever a minion hits a charged enemy or whatever it's called, those home in on and target other enemies. So it is similar to like a Dark Harvest or an Electric Eel in that way. We'll heavily target the Morning Woods for Necromantic Scrolls and a Witch's Broom, but of course, the main focus is the Raven Staff, dropped by Pumpkins. Damage is nothing crazy, but not terrible. There go all my NPCs. My bad, guys. I brought the Morning Woods over to you. If we get a Raven Staff on this first Pumpkin Moon, that would be so cool. And boom, no drops. Love when they drop nothing. And beautiful. Raven Staff, let's go! Now I just want Necromantic Scrolls. 2 would be preferable too, so I can upgrade 1 to the Papyrus Scroll and stack even more damage. But the first Pumpkin Moon didn't drop any scrolls and no Witch's Broom. But we had a bit more luck with the second moon, getting 1 scroll and the broom, which I guess will be good enough. So now the Raven Staff is what I'm going to be using to take down Duke Fishron for the Tempest Staff, a weapon that isn't actually that bad, but suffers from having terrible aim, making it very poor against most of the bosses at this phase of the game. We'll see how well it does for us, but I should really use some potions to ensure my victory against Duke. Get it, get it, get it. No! I didn't get it in time. Oh no, oh, that ruined it. Oh no, oh no. And when I went for a rematch, I completely missed this Martian Pro. Oh no, not the Martians. No, I didn't want the Martians. Summon Duke and hopefully they'll go away. Hopefully. Need to get rid of these things. There we go. Got rid of most of the Tesla coils. It did actually work. No more Martian spawn during the boss battle, so that's nice. You might be wondering if I'm even allowed to use the Xeno Staff too, and the answer to that is no. I personally think it's a lesser used weapon, but I also know it's one of the more meta strats against Empress and maybe even Duke, so we decided to make it off limits. And yes, also the Desert Tiger Staff is off limits, although I would consider all the biome chest loot to be unused, generally speaking, but we're just going to rule it out. As for Duke, the first one drops a Tsunami, and now I have to clear out the Martians so they won't annoy me anymore. Back to Duke, 1 more kill, and we get a Flare-On. A second kill to get another Flare-On, and a third one gets us the Razor Blade Typhoon. Guess we gotta get more Truffle Worms then. More Truffle Worms collected, we're back to the grind. Tempest Staff, no! Come on, my ravens. Hit the fish. You're birds. You're supposed to be good at killing fish, aren't you? The birds, you know, the birds are going for a fish. But is Duke Fishron more pig or more fish? This is a very serious question, and I need to know the answer. A fish, a pig, whatever it is, it dropped the Tempest Staff. Now, I'm used to trying to use this thing against bosses like Empress or Duke or even Plantera, where it often struggles to hit the target. And not thinking too much about it, I expected the same thing against Cultist, only to realize I was greatly mistaken. The Tempest Staff will work pretty decently against Cultist, because he doesn't move around too much, because he just teleports and stops. Tempest Staff I can definitely see being really good. Actually, hold on. Wait, hold on. Tempest Staff is actually cracked against Cultist. It's probably terrible against like everything else because they move so much. Well, I know it's terrible against everything else because I've used it and it just can't hit anything. But against the Cultist, because he always stands still, it can shred him. Wow. This is going so much better than I thought it would. Also, holy chunks, Batman, they're everywhere. Against the pillars, its issues become more apparent as it struggles to hit almost every enemy unless I move in perfectly straight lines to make it just about impossible for anything to miss. Even so, it was good enough to clear the Stardust Pillar, making it one of the shortest lived summons I found as I make the Stardust Cell Staff. Now, I believe the line that the Cell Staff is worse than the Stardust Dragon Staff in every way, so I wasn't ready for what came next. Stardust Cell Staff, let's go! Okay, I'm liking it. It actually seems to be doing a surprisingly good job at crowd control. It might shine more as a crowd control weapon than a single target summon. I am actually quite astonished right now. I'll need to do some testing of my own because I was amazed by how much I enjoyed using the staff and feel like it can't be nearly as bad compared to the Stardust Dragon as it has been made out to be. I feel like the Stardust Cell Staff is better at killing or damaging a lot of enemies in the near vicinity, and the Stardust Dragon is a lot better at singling out enemies and finishing them off quickly. Have you tried this copium? I didn't think so. Copium, it's a wonderful drug. But that was also almost an instantaneous kill. Come on, gotta give it some credit there. I still don't see myself switching away from the dragon for the Stardust Cell Staff because, well, dragons are cool, but I also don't think I'm going to be nearly as down on the summon as I have been in the past. I did whiff the first Moonlord battle pretty bad, but during the second battle I popped all 3 eyes where I encountered an issue with the Cell Staff. Now hopefully the Stardust is able to hit the core without me, hugging him, please. Oh no, might have a slight problem here. Okay, this distance, ouch, is working for at least hitting him. I'm fairly certain this is a bit closer than you need to be when using the dragon. That summon has quite a bit of range. That said, this might be pretty close to the Terra Prisma's range, so it's not like the Cell Staff is that far off, but considering it's likely doing less damage than both of those, also requiring I stick closer to the boss isn't great. But even so, I still took down Moonlord on that second attempt. Do I get the possession? Possession! Ah, no possession, but I did get the Portal Staff. And that's how I beat Terraria with only the unused summons. Which summon weapons do you usually use? And if you enjoyed that video, you'll probably enjoy this one where I beat Terraria using only unused melee weapons.